Hello, Year 3 and Year 4 of Grange, lower key stage 2. It's Mr. Kerbal here, and it is time for our head teacher video assembly message. Today I'm going to be doing face-to-face with the Year 1s and Year 2s. But your message made me think of Black History Month, which is starting in the UK. Well, started yesterday. It's for the whole month of October. We celebrate Black History Month. And I found out something amazing. Here's the photo of this hero who I want to celebrate in our video today for Black History Month. Now, his name was Thomas Jennings, and he lived 200 years ago. But what was so incredibly special about him that made him a great figure of history, and a great black figure of history, and a great world changer that makes all of our lives better today? So I'm looking at him and I'm thinking, and I'm feeling all of you thinking, how did this amazing man change the course of history for the better? Well, every half term, I pack up my coats. Usually it's my wife's coats, and I pack up my suits. You often see me wearing a suit at school. And I take the suits, and I take the coats, and I go to the dry cleaners. And the reason I go to the dry cleaners is because I can't put my suit in the washing machine. I can't put my coat in the washing machine because suits, they're made of quite delicate fabric. Fabric's a material that's what we call the material. They're made of delicate fabrics. And if I was to wash them in a washing machine, they would come out looking really not so good and probably damaged. So I have to take my suit and the coats, I have to take them to the dry cleaners. And I've got my favorite dry cleaner in Kingsbury, actually. I go to my dry cleaner and he always says hello to me, and he asks me how school is, and he asks me what am I going to do in the half term or in the holidays, and I always have a chat with him. And then towards the end of the half term, I go and pick up my suits, and I pick up my wife's coats, and then I am ready to come back to Grange after the half term, after the holidays. Now you might think, why am I talking about dry cleaners when I show the portrait of this great figure of Black history? Well, this man's name was Thomas Jennings, and 200 years ago, he worked for a tailor. And while he was working for a tailor, now, a tailor is somebody who works with clothes, and especially 200 years ago, you really needed a tailor to alter the clothes so that they fitted people, and to sew, and they didn't have the fancy machines they've got today. They didn't have all the different sizes that people could just go to a shop and buy clothes off the rack. So tailors were very important. I mean, you still have tailors who are great experts, and you still see them altering clothes, but he worked for a tailor. But in the tailor shop where he worked, people were always complaining that if their clothes were made of delicate fabric, they couldn't clean it when stains got onto the clothes. And stains often get there from sweat, or if we spill something when we're eating. Anyway, Thomas Jennings, he experimented. And he knew a lot about clothes, and he had a lot of cleaning materials, and experimented, and he invented something called dry scouring. Scouring, sounds like when you scrape things. And he used chemicals, and he put those chemicals onto the clothes, not using water, because water would damage the delicate fabric. And with these chemicals, specific chemicals, and then he'd rub them, work them by hand, and when they dried, the stains would come out of the delicate fabrics. And it was such a brilliant method that he discovered. Like any good scientist, like any clever business-minded scientist, he went and applied for a patent Now, patent is a legal mechanism, so it's something that you use through the law. It's like a license to say, because you invented something, only you can use it. And if anybody wants to use what you've invented, even if they want to use it like within their own invention, they have to pay you money. If you don't get a patent, then people can just like sadly steal or take your idea and not pay you for it. Anyway, Thomas Jennings, he applied for a patent. He got a patent from the solicitor, and because he got that patent, he was able to open his own clothing shop, and he became very wealthy, put all his children through education. And actually, there's even a really interesting story about his daughter who became a school teacher, but she became very famous because I think in the 1850s in New York, she went on a protest. And that's a story for another time. And she became quite famous because she protested and she wouldn't get off a tram which was designated for whites only, and she refused to get off. There was a massive court case, and the judge in that court case said it was illegal for anybody to throw off anybody from the tram because they were black. So Thomas Jennings, well, I'm going to say, what an amazing black history hero. A man who changed the whole of history, so that in 2022 I can take my suits to the dry cleaners, because yes, dry cleaners have developed since then, but they're still using techniques and chemicals that are built upon this amazing invention from Thomas Jennings 200 years ago. So we celebrate Black History because we say to ourselves, we want to celebrate the difference. We want equality. We want equity. We want to recognize the contributions that people make. And our Black history heroes, they have changed the history of the world for the better. And that's why we celebrate this month. And if you have some amazing Black history heroes that you've learned about, I would really like to learn about them and hear from you. Wishing everybody a brilliant Black History.